Okay.
Okay, perfect. Let's get started. So thank you everyone for joining in. We got a lot to cover. Dave and I have been going over this stuff, and we really wanted to, help other cash-based practices right now that are going through the same problem that every business in the US and throughout the world are going on. We want to tailor this kind of towards cash-based practices and share with you some of the stuff that Dave and I are doing and are teaching in some of our programs. It's totally free. We're not selling anything. We just want to help out and give back. So let's get started. The title of this is going to be Overcoming the COVID-19 Crisis in a Cash-Based Clinic. And, the moral of this is going to be, don't give up. Don't ever give up. If you ever seen a great inspirational speech, and you have to check out Jimmy V's his speech that he gave. It will bring you to tears. So it's a great thing. So, but even though we're going through a hard time, don't give up. Don't ever give up. There's always more stuff to do. So just a brief introduction in case you don't know us. Dave and I are the admins of the cash-based group. I own a brick and mortar cash-based clinic in Orlando, Florida called Pursuit Physical Therapy. And Dave owns a concierge model, or not a brick and mortar, but more of a mobile practice where he has 1099 employees going out and doing his mobile concierge practice up in New York, concierge pain relief. So Dave and I joined forces a couple years back, wanted to help out other people in cash-based clinics. So, we do run cashbasedphysicaltherapy.org. But that's enough about us. You guys didn't come here to listen to us. Anything that you want to say real quick, Dave, before we get started?
Yeah, just a quick shout out to everyone that's here live. We truly appreciate your time. We take everything that we do like this very seriously, and we are thankful that you're sharing a few minutes or an hour or so of your time. So quick shout out to everyone that's here live: Olive, Ren, Fady, Jen, Suman, Patricia, Heather, Christian, what's up, Christian? Seagree, what's up? Welcome in live. Justin. So everyone that's here live, just wanted to give you a quick shout out. Mark and Melissa, and I'm sorry, anyone else that I might have skipped. Thank you very much for jumping in here. And yeah, you guys you can message us privately, one-on-one to Ron or myself on the Zoom chat, or publicly, totally up to you. Tom Delonzo Baker, welcome in live. And of course, anyone else that I missed on this, I'm just trying to scroll through the Zoom avatars here. So if we missed you, I'm sorry, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for your time live here.
Yeah, perfect. So the four main objectives of what we want to go over today is going over just a general timeline of what the coronavirus and what projections are going to be, so we know how to handle this. I want to go over some things that you can start changing right now in your practice, and things that you can do personally and for your business. And then Dave and I kind of designed a 4-step strategy of how you can succeed and overcome the crisis. Everyone's going through a hard time. Everyone's revenue is going down, but we have 4 steps that you can really take step by step to really, think outside the box, strategize, and overcome this. So we all get through this on the back end where we're succeeding and we're thriving. And then we kind of designed an action plan for you. And then afterwards, we'll have a live Q&A. So just going over example projections. When you're going to war against someone, you got to kind of know the actual enemy and what they're doing, what their strategy is. So what are we going against here? What's an example timeline of what a lot of people are predicting? So obviously, everyone in each state and each city is going through a different bunch of restrictions right now. Some people are totally locked down and everything's shut down for weeks and months, and some people are on just labeled as a essential business, and some things are still going. Everyone's different. Dave's in New York. I'm in Orlando. They're actually projecting the big Orlando part to happen in the first week of May. So we haven't even hit the prime stop when Dave's getting nailed up there. Or someone in Rushville, Nebraska probably hasn't even experienced it yet. My parents live in Montana. I think they've had 4 deaths. It's not that prevalent there. So everyone's going through a different setup. But what can we all kind of assume that's going to happen going forward right now? So obviously, whatever restrictions you're on, you're probably going to be on restrictions for April and May. Even though they've only had the federal restrictions until April 30th, let's face it, it's probably going to go on until another month. We're probably going to be in lockdown, social isolation, doing the distancing and stuff for another month. So you have to be prepared for the next 2 months. So what are you going to do when minimally either you're not seeing anyone, or you're closed, or you're only seeing maybe a couple patients a day on very limited times right now? So we need to plan out for the next 2 months. What are we going to do for the next 2 months to pay the bills, to pay rent, to pay utilities, to pay our employees and stuff like that? So eventually, I believe that they're going to start rolling out antibody testing, and they're going to probably design some sort of system where you're going to take the people who are positive for it, quarantine them, and the elderly people are going to stay quarantined, okay, because they're at high risk. And then the people who have been shown to have the disease and have the antibodies, they'll maybe get a green bracelet or like a badge, and they'll be able to go out and start doing businesses and engaging in the economy and spending money and going back to work. And then you'll take people who label who have not been exposed to it yet, maybe a yellow bracelet or something. I know Dr. Peter Attia is promoting that green, red, and yellow bracelet thing. But at some point, they're going to start stimulating the economy and start getting some herd immunity going. That's probably going to happen in May or even in June. So for the next 3 months throughout the whole summer, some people will start to be able to get back out there and stimulate economy. Maybe we'll be able to go back to work. Some of the clinics that are fully closed will be able to open up and stuff like that, but we'll probably be wearing masks. So you got to start preparing. Everyone's going to be wearing masks probably. So over the summer, maybe some business will start to creep up a little bit. And then you're going to be able to start seeing some patients again, stuff like that. Maybe going with some guidelines. It's still not going to be full. You may not be at max capacity with a full caseload yet. And then we need to start projecting what's going to happen after this. What's going to happen in the fall? We don't know whether it's going to be another uptick in the curve as soon as they release everyone and more coronavirus is going to start spreading. We don't really know this yet, but we got to start planning. What's going to happen in the fall? What's going to happen to college and pro football? Are they going to play with empty stadiums or something?
Right, sports. We need to talk about the sports first, Ron.
Yeah. So, as a projected timeline, what are you going to do for the next 2 months? What are you going to do for the next summer? What are you going to do for the fall? We need to start preparing for this. And again, everyone has different theories and different ideas of what's going to happen. But let's face it, we're all going to take this day by day and week by week. Okay. No one knows what's really going to happen in 2 months whenever they start letting people out. So we're adjusting every 30 days. We're adjusting every day. And kind of the theme of this is you got to adjust day by day and week to week. So let me do this really quick. I want to stop to share. Is there any questions right now that came up at all with the chat or anything that we can answer?
No question. I just real quick, I just want to jump in with just looking at that projected COVID effect. Basically, the only reason why we're putting that slide up is to help address and help answer your standard, normal, and appropriate question, which is, how does this affect me? How does this affect my patients? And basically, how will this continue to affect my practice, my business? Because it's affecting you, that's why you're here, and it's affecting your ability to help your patients and clients and help your community. And so that's basically like, it might be right, it might be wrong based on what we're saying about what's going to happen the next couple months, the rest of this year. But if we don't discuss it, if we don't make hypotheticals and plan for some of these stretched out changes, stretched out longer into the third or fourth quarter of this year, we don't fully know. But that's part of what we're going to cover tonight about ways to plan. And the more that we can plan and prepare, the better you'll be able to sleep at night, rather than not having any new potential strategies or ways to be creative or clever or think differently. So that was just part of why we put that graph.
Perfect. So what things can you change right now? So one thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to reset your goals. You got to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Okay. So what if you did not get a single dollar coming in for the next 6 months with your physiotherapy practice? Okay. What are you going to do? So let's plan for the worst and hope for the best. What if I didn't see a single patient for 6 months? How am I going to make my business survive? How am I going to pay payroll? How am I going to pay the bills? Let's think outside the box here. What if not a single dollar would come in for the rest of the 3 to 6 months? What are you going to do? We need to reset our goals. So your BHAG goals, or your big, hairy, audacious goals, and your yearly goals, just throw them out. You know, I'm in a 100% cash-based clinic. My big, hairy, audacious goal is to have 1.5 million in sales. Okay. I'm not even worried about that right now. I'm not even worried about my yearly goals. Let's face it, everyone's yearly goals are not going to be met. Everyone's yearly goals are going to be missed. No one's going to reach their quarter 2 goals or quarter 3 goals. Okay. Everyone's having a bad time. So don't even worry about your yearly goals or your big, hairy, audacious goal. Okay. You, as the leader and the owner of your business, you have to set the goals for the business. And what I recommend is go short and fast and small. Keep 1 week goals, 1 month goals, and go 6 month goals, so you can prepare for after the crisis, or maybe the fall in quarter 4. Okay. You need short, simple, and clear goals at 1 week, 1 month, and 6 months. Okay. So any feedback really quick, Dave, regarding goals?
No, just a little bit more to extend off that, which is if we're not thinking slightly differently, like I was mentioning about the projection on the graph, right? Same thing with goal setting. So we all track, like Ron and I, we track our, and we're going to get to it. We track our total inbound leads. We track our phone calls. We track our new patients and conversions and revenue per patient, all those types of normal things. And we will continue to track those metrics. But we had certain goals set up for our quarterly and yearly goals, but now those things have to be slightly adjusted. So that is what we're discussing now in regards to, we need to just almost hit the reset button and just start with something week to week. And that's more of what we're going to cover. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, my main business goal for the whole business that myself and my employees were all striving towards was a 20% increase in revenue compared to last year. And that's what I based my whole bonus program on. I don't even care about that anymore. We're not striving for that. There is no bonuses right now. I'm just trying to keep jobs and make sure ends are being met. So I don't care about the big picture stuff anymore. I'm setting week to week goals right now, staying super focused, 1 month goals, and then maybe start looking at 6 month goals. What are we going to do in the fall? Do you have the right mindset for this? Okay. Are you playing to win? Are you playing not to lose? Okay. Are you in a failure mindset? Are you still watching the news and getting depressed? Are you still slacking? Are you sleeping in now, drinking alcohol more? Are you listening to music more, kind of relaxing? Or are you double downing on your morning routine, putting more positivity in your life? Are you hustling harder? If you saw a lot of our posts earlier over the past month, I've been using the hashtag hustle harder, because when I know that when my competition may be struggling to open their business or keep it open, or they're closing shop, I'm doubling down, waking up at 5 a.m, still reading, still doing my morning routine, still trying to get some exercise in, working on this presentation at 6 o'clock in the morning just so I can help other people. You know, it's like, what are you doing? What's your mindset right now? Are you playing to win, or are you playing not to lose? So I'm choosing to win. I'm hustling harder. I was just telling Dave earlier, I canceled my maid for the business. I'm scrubbing toilets just to save time and money and stuff like that right now. Yeah, I'm going back to basics to decrease expenses and stuff. I don't know if that's a really great thing or not, but anything right now that I can do to make sure I can pay my employees, make sure I can make Pursuit survive this, is, so I'm going back to basics. What are some things that you've been doing, Dave, regarding this?
Yeah, so really quick, we were preparing for this, and we were talking earlier today and recently of other people, and this is a normal thing, real quick, which is cutting expenses, and we're going to cover that as well in this presentation in regards to minimizing expenses, or expenses that can be taken off the table and eased so that you're having either more profit, more cash flow, or things that are nice to haves, but maybe not necessary or needed. What I'm doing with specifically with the more focused on trying to win and expand as much as possible, if possible, rather than hedging my downside and not trying not to lose. I've actually been increasing my Google ad spend the past 2-3 months, even before the virus really set in. Now, not everyone has the same budget or the ability, didn't have the extra cash flow. So if you don't have the budget, of course, it makes sense to cut your marketing spend. I completely understand. But if you do have the budget, it actually would make the most sense right now to increase Google ads and Google ad spend, because typically your other competition will be either closed, or maybe they're not doing telehealth, or they're still about to do some video visits or telehealth. So your competition might not be paying for ads on Google. And therefore, when there's less competition for Google ads, because Google ads is a bidding system, so you're bidding against keywords, and therefore, if there's less paid competition in your local area, in your zip code, or in several zip codes around you, then it may actually be cheaper, less money spent to acquire new prospective patients, new leads, and new patients that you can potentially see virtually, or if you're still open, seeing them in person. So I've actually increased my ad spend because I had the stockpile, or I had the dry powder, they call it. I had some extra money to do so, rather than cutting my expenses. We're going to get to ways where I have cut expenses and where Ron has cut expenses and ways to do so. But that's one thing of my mindset, which is I'm trying to get in front of more people right now and get them in my system, either with myself or one of my therapists, because I don't know how much longer this is going to continue to drag out. Is it going to be another month or 2 or 3 months? And I want more patients and prospective patients and leads in my system. I want more email addresses to follow up with. I want more phone numbers for people that we need to follow up with. And for us, it's either time, which it's either free, which takes time, or it's paid, which takes some budget. So
yeah. And the main point is to stay with that positivity mindset, with that growth mindset, and make sure that you're playing to win still, and taking every opportunity that you can with this downtime or some of the off time of not having a full schedule. So one thing also that we're kind of promoting is discipline and refocus on that one thing. There was a great book called The One Thing by the owner of Keller Williams. It's a great book, and it's a pretty simple process. What is the one thing? What is that one thing for you in your practice right now? What is the most important key performance indicator, or it's also called a KPI, for you to get through this? Is it sales? Is it top line revenue? Is it cash flow? Is it still leads right now? Is it creating a new opportunity to generate other sources of revenue that will supplement the patient care one? So the question is, what is that one thing? And that's for you to answer. Everyone's in a different practice right now. Some people are still able to see patients. Some people are fully closed, but you have to answer that. What is that one thing for you? What is the most important KPI for you? Now, these are the 7 processes that drive my business at Pursuit: lead gen, phone call conversions, eval conversions, PT sales, productivity, customer satisfaction, Pursuit expenses. This is the person that's in charge of it, and the key performance indicator, or the main stat for me right now, is top line revenue. I want cash flow coming in. I want PT sales, and I want top line revenue to withstand, so I can overcome this downtime right now. But it could be different for you. Another principle is you need to learn fast, decide fast, and act faster than others. These are the people that are going to win. I had an opportunity. I actually hired a physiotherapist 2 weeks ago. I hired a PT right now. Okay, I had the opportunity to create online programs in a back room I have, and a PT found me who had a great asset that I felt that could have came in and added value to Pursuit. So I hired him 2 weeks ago. I learned about it. I put him through the interview process. I knew that he could create value. And now we're creating online programs right now that we're going to offer as wellness programs, and we're going to offer as specialty programs to generate other ways of revenue. So I actually had the opportunity. I learned fast. I decided fast I was going to hire him, and now I'm acting fast. And we've been on the grind the past 2 weeks putting these programs together so I can launch my wellness program in 1 to 2 weeks. And then in May, we're going to launch our specialty programs. So we're learning fast, we're making fast decisions, and we're acting faster than other people so we can accommodate this. Dave, anything that you want to add in here?
No, but if anyone has any questions about some of those things that you've added or I've added to our practice, are we covering some of those things? I think we're covering them. We have a few slides of those, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of some examples of how can, with our skill sets, with everyone that's predominantly a physical therapist that's in here watching live or on the replay, we're just kind of peeling back the curtain and showing some ways that are either working for us or for our mentees and clients and students in some of our programs. And we wanted to kind of discuss some of those later on as some ways that you might want to have almost like either an immediate takeaway or even something to just consider. Would that fit your skill set? Would that fit your style of practice or business? And so hopefully you get some of those ideas that either you might have thought before, maybe you saw it somewhere else before, but ways to kind of take an action plan right away and potentially implement those in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, perfect. The next thing is to get rid of the waste. Now's the time that, yes, you got to decrease expenses. And if you happen to have a bad employee, now would be a great time to let that employee go. But you got to get rid of the waste. Here's an example of what I'm doing to decrease my expenses. So for the first 3 months, column C, D, and E, I was running Pursuit at roughly $9,000 a month. And what I'm doing to cut expenses, my marketing person wasn't actually cutting out. So the $2,500 a month, I fired my marketing person. There's no way that marketing right now is going to warrant me to pay her that much money right now. So I fired my marketing person. I'm going through some of the equipment, office expenses, and facility expenses. I'm really managing those to try to not spend as much right now regarding that. I'm going over, I fired my cleaning lady I didn't fire her, I kind of put her on hold right now. I'm going to clean the facility until I want to spend $160 to clean the facility. So I'm managing these expenses right now, and I'm dropping my operating expenses down to $5,000. So now I'm taking that $9,000 in expenses that I had to run my actual business, and I'm dropping it down to $5,000 now. So you got to cut your expenses or get rid of the waste that's not really needed right now. Because I know that in the next 2 months, if until they unleash the stuff, I'm not going to be able to generate the top line revenue needed to be able to run the actual practice. Okay. So you got to look at your kind of expense reports and look at your monthly expenses and go through them and kind of eliminate the waste, the stuff that you don't need right now. I'm not spending $2,500 on a marketing company right now when I can do most of it myself right now. So you got to slim down right now and cut the waste. You need to adjust your business model. Okay. If not, you may be going out of business. If you're still only focusing on actually physical patient visits, you may not be able to survive the 2 months. Okay. Another concept here is build versus pivot and rebuild. So as you think about your practice, are you comfortable of your certain competencies right now of what you're doing? Are you in a location where you can still see patients and still make some revenue, or do you already have some wellness programs built in that you can lean on these right now to generate some revenue and survive? Or do you have to pivot and kind of rebuild? Do you have to go a new route right now? Look at the example of like Tesla is building ventilators right now. Look at the auto industry. They're building ventilators right now. A lot of businesses are looking and kind of pivoting and saying, hey, a lot of people need protective equipment right now in hospital stuff. We can actually do this. And they're pivoting their whole business model and going that route. So you have to ask yourself, am I okay with my current structure and setup? Will I be able to generate some revenue with my current programs? Or do I need to add in some programs and rebuild new stuff? Or do I need to pivot 90 degrees and go a whole different direction? Okay, so you have to clean up some of your systems and processes. Maybe you have to start some new processes here, but you got to start sharpening the knife. Okay. Some of the processes that I've changed here at Pursuit, I added telehealth. If you haven't added telehealth right now, you're missing the trend. There is no doubt telehealth will be a huge trend going forward. Okay, not even just next month, but even in the summer. And what if we do have another outbreak in the fall? You're going to go back to telehealth. So why not execute that now? Get that up and running. You need to have some sort of telehealth services on here. Okay, you need to start offering that. I changed my whole package alignment. I was giving, I kind of put patients as easy as individual visits, and if it's a complex case, I do treatment packages at 1,800, 2,400, 3,600, and I just got rid of my $4,000 package. I wanted to make things simpler and easier. Okay, I created a new fillable PDF form for my new patient packet so I could increase my user experience so they can fill out things online without having to print it out, fill it out with paper and do that. So I took some time and did that. I adjusted my website. I let people know that I'm still open. I let people know that I have telehealth services now. So I put that smack right in the second part of my website, and I wanted to adjust that. So I spent some time and I adjusted the website a little bit. I redid my Instagram strategy. I started really focusing on, okay, how can I reach these people still and let them know and create value in their eyes and still help people? So I redid my Instagram strategy. I figured out how to make Instagram TV work and how to publish a video beyond a minute. I wanted to pick out some niche markets who, may be in need of my help right now. People are getting sick of being quarantined already. People want to exercise. Can I tap into that market? I studied my sales phone call process. Selling is going to be hard right now. It's going to be even harder than it is normal. So I wanted to make sure that I was ready. So I went through my sales process and took some time and practiced that. I changed my marketing budget and hyper-focus. I already told you that I fired my marketing lady and the marketing PR firm, and I hyper-focused my marketing. I doubled down exactly like Dave did. Here's an example of my Google stats over the past week or two. I doubled down on my sciatica campaigns and lower back campaigns because I knew that I could treat someone with sciatica via telehealth using a lot of McKenzie principles. So I created new online programs. I hired my physical therapist, and he's going to run the new online programs. We're going to create a wellness program for past patients, funnel them in. It's going to be roughly like $150 a month, and we're creating specialty programs now that we're going to charge $500 a month for, and launch those out. Again, the wellness program is going to be launched in probably a week or two. That's my 1 to 2 week goal. And then the specialty program is going to be launched out in May. So these are some of the processes that I'm sharpening the knife. I'm refocusing some of the stuff that I know is working, and I'm adding some new systems and processes on to the business. Dave, any feedback or any new things that you've been doing besides the Google stuff?
So other than spending more just in general, the one thing that I've had less follow-up with is my Google ad campaign for targeting folks with Parkinson's in the New York City area, because obviously if you have Parkinson's, then you're most likely older, and you're in that population or that demographic that is the most vulnerable. So those folks have been there's been a significant drop off with calls for me from those ads, but I'm still getting people to download my 30-something page ebook. So I'm getting leads, I'm getting names and email addresses, sometimes names, email addresses, and phone numbers, but I've noticed that there is less there. So I might even take some of that allocation of ad budget, I haven't yet, and just direct it more towards my in-home physical therapy campaign, which at any given time I'm spending $1,000 to $2,000 a month on. And then once I'm over the phone with them, then it's the whole process of presenting the opportunity for virtual therapy and telehealth, however you want to call it. So just a little thing there is I have with my marketing specialist, my manager, who we had tested some telehealth keywords a few weeks back, and there's just significant competition right now because all the big chains and the corporates and many other even smaller private practices, like maybe some of you guys, maybe even Christian who's here live, or Heather who's in the New York City area, that there's a lot of Google ad competition for keywords such as telehealth, virtual physical therapy, online physical therapy, all those variations. And so I'm still allocating a huge budget to folks that are Googling and looking for in-home physical therapy, because they don't necessarily know any better. They're okay. They might be okay with someone coming in, but we're still going to try to do virtual. And that is just, I just want you guys to know there, like this is from what I've seen through data with people, is that consumers will continue to call you. They're still going to expect you to be open, and many of the middle-aged to younger population, they're going to still be open or willing to come in, whether you want to see them in person or not, and try to sway them to telehealth and offer that. And then along with the changing the processes and this previous slide, I just wanted to review that regardless of where you are at in your business right now, so the cleaning up your processes and possibly thinking about new processes. The biggest thing is you need to continue to help clients in your communities and exchanging some dollar amount for that value, whether it's one-on-one exercise workouts, one-on-one telehealth, trying to ease their pain, showing them certain movements, repeated movements, helping them reduce their pain, work on mobility, work on their squat or deadlift form, whatever it might be. Any of those things you should and can charge for. Put a dollar amount to it, whatever dollar amount you think you're comfortable with and is appropriate for your market and your ideal patient. But you should be reaching out to all of your previous patients, all your previous clients, and checking in with them. First of all, seeing how they're doing, and then letting them know that you would be open to and available to jumping on a call or a video call with them and helping them with their health and wellness. There's a lot of people that are in their house, they're watching Netflix, they're binging, watching a lot of stuff on TV, or they're working from home. And you could be a nice part of their week for something different for them to look forward to. And it might be that telehealth visit, that workout, that virtual meeting, whatever. And you're helping them, whatever it is within their health and wellness, whatever they are interested in. And it takes that urgency for you right now to take action and to reach out to all of your previous patients and to do so. And then in between, when you have the downtime and you're not seeing patients or clients, either in person or virtually, when you have the downtime, that's when you need to be working on these other processes for your business, for future business, for asking those patients and those clients, your previous patients and clients, or your current patients and clients, asking them for referrals, being very open and upfront. Say, hey, I'm getting busier, but obviously this is really tough for all of us small business owners. They should probably relate to that and understand where you're coming from, and they want you to do well also. So ask for referrals, ask and let people know what you're doing, what are you offering. And there's some other things we're going to go through. Even Ron adding a new therapist who's going to be doing an arm baseball overhead throwing program, and just you have to let your community know. So right now it's your opportunity to be aggressive with getting more outreach and getting more eyeballs on your practice and your business. And then in between of doing that, when you're not seeing folks, is when you need to be working on all this other back end stuff. So I just wanted to review that real quick.
And I just had an idea. If you look at trends, so who's the people who are going to be quarantined for the next 4 to 6 months? All the high risk people, the older people, and they're just going to be sitting at home, not doing anything. So why not target that market with some sort of exercise program, create an online training program for 65-year-old plus patients, because you know that they're going to be quarantined for a long time. So that's an idea right there. Start adding some online services, exercise programs to help that patient population. So a few more other things of what I've been doing is I've been having more staff meetings now. I have to keep morale up. I'm responsible for getting these people paychecks and putting food on the table. I'm having more daily huddles, not just a meeting every month or like every week. We're having smaller meetings now. We're focusing on this day to day. What is the most important thing right now that we need to do? What am I going to do and accomplish within this next hour? Okay, I'm getting very specific, shorter staff meetings, more daily huddles. We just got approved for the PPP loan today. So, I have a group text that, I let my whole team know that we got approved. So now they are rest assured that they're probably going to get a paycheck, a nice sized paycheck that I'll be able to pay them for payroll for April and May. I'm having clarity with this. I'm celebrating little wins. Like today, we blocked 4 hours and just created video content for like 4 hours. And then I saw a patient, and then we had some meetings. So we're blocking time off. I'm blocking specific time off with my new physiotherapist Trey. It's like, okay, hey, in this 3-hour timeline, I want to design this program, touchpoint integration, and I want to outline this specialty program. So I'm engaging with my staff a lot to make sure that they're caught up, that they're positive, and they know what's going to happen in these next 2 months, 3 months, etc. I'm getting rid of SMART goals and doing FAST goals now. I'm frequently discussing them: ambitious, specific, transparent. I'm going over these goals every day to let my team and myself know that of what the goal is for today. What's the goal for this? By 1 week, I want the wellness program ready and good to go, and I'm going to market it. And then we're going to have, by May, we're going to have the throwing program ready. I'm going over the systems and processes with my new hire. So I'm organizing these goals and getting things fast, easy, specific, and clear, and keeping it shorter and more often, so everyone's focused on that one thing. So the next section of this is we're going to go into different strategies now that you can go and implement so you can stay agile through this crisis. Have you noticed, Dave, any people making comments? I keep seeing it come up. Do you want me to stop sharing and answer some of these right now, or just keep going?
Let's do that if you want. Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, so here we'll start with the Zoom chat first. So I answered a couple here just by typing them. So Ron, you're not doing out of network billing with insurance, but I have, and I've done a little bit of that. So Christian was asking about the pivot slide that we presented earlier. And he mentioned, and he's here in New York City, by the way. He's thinking about taking out-of-network insurance in the near future versus being a solo or just cash-based private pay without any insurance billing. And he was asking about thoughts of opening up the gate a bit wider, so kind of like casting a wider net, or having more potential exposure to new patients. My quick response was that that I have a biller and a whole team. They verify and check benefits, out of network benefits all the time, and like 60-70% of the time, my prospective patients either don't have out of network benefits, or my biller is so, either they know the approximate amount based on billing other similar plans recently. They know the approximate reimbursement, and he'll tell me this would only be $50 a visit. This would, this GHI is terrible, or this Emblem Health plan we're not going to accept because it's really low or whatever. So I know you're not doing any out of network billing, Ron. So I don't know if you have any comments or questions about that for Christian. But I would say yes, Christian, do it. You need to get a medical biller to do it. I wouldn't worry about trying to do all those verifications and check benefits and bill on your own. I would hire a billing manager, a specialist that does it. What are your thoughts on?
I mean, business is business right now. If you can add another stream of seeing in or out of network doing it and making ROI positive to generate some patients at that time, I would say I'm all for it. If that's the route that you want to go, I wouldn't want to go that route, because as long as you stay out of network, I think that's good. But again, right now, anything that you can just generate some top line revenue and get some sales going that way, if you can make the numbers work and you end up ROI positive, it's fine for now. And trying that platform, I'm fine with that for now.
Let's see. Karen Lieberman, welcome in live. She asked, "Are you tracking who comes in case need to notify regarding exposure or to COVID-19?"
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
Ron and I right off the bat, Karen, like I know in the past month or two or whatever, as long as it's been going on, we do the verbal screening. Have you or anyone in your family recently experienced fatigue, fever, body aches, coughing, any of the standard symptoms? Have you been around anyone that's tested positive for COVID-19 recently? Have you been around anyone that's recently flown domestically or internationally? Ron, what are other screening questions that I miss?
We do those exact questions. If they know anyone that's been sick, if they're age 65 or up with a risk factor, we tell them to stay home. I don't want to see any high risk patients. I just made that number up at 65 just because it's affecting more elderly people. I didn't get any research on that. I just said 65 or up plus a risk factor, you're high risk. It's not worth you coming out right now. What else am I doing? Screening. We're all wearing masks. We're doubling down with stuff. We're giving patients masks. Amazon is actually selling masks still, not the N95. I just bought 2 new boxes of masks. So we are masking up right now. But we are doing a screening process to get rid of or not see any high risk patients right now. And then everything's one-on-one here. So we're not in a gym setting. It's not like I have a huge gym and people are coming and working out. Most of the clinics that are in gyms or affiliated with gyms are kind of closed right now. We're still following the no people more than 10 in a room. I mean, for us, it's even 3 because it's just one-on-one care right now. So we are implementing a screening process when people are calling over the phone.
Another question from Christian, which is a really great question. There was a bunch of Google review alerts and notifications. Ron, I'm sure you're well aware of this. I don't know if we've talked about it. There was, in the past couple of weeks, Google had said, if you get any new Google reviews, they may not be shown publicly or posted. I don't know if that means they're taking software developers away from managing the Google My Business platform or something. I don't know what that was about. I've had, and I responded here in the chat, in the Zoom chat to Christian, that I have a few people that I have been waiting for Google reviews pending from them. I haven't found out if they just haven't actually written it and posted it, or if Google is just not showing it. So I might have to have like someone that I know or follow up with those clients to ask them if they have actually posted or not. Any thoughts on your end there with that?
They are holding that. I have 3 patients that have posted it online. It's just not showing. So they are putting a hold of that. So I do know, because they'll text me back, "Hey, I posted testimonial. Thanks again for everything," and it's not showing up. So, but I'm okay with that. I hope that when all this stuff goes over, that they show up. So, but that is true.
Was there a reason why they were not showing up though?
I have no clue.
What does that have? What do Google reviews have to do with COVID-19?
I have no clue.
Okay. So it might just be an internal thing with Google with their resources or something. I don't know.
Any other questions?
Yeah. So Karen Lieberman mentioned or commented here in the Zoom chat, Reversify is a great app for PTs to submit their super bills, or patients, maybe it's for patients to submit their super bills and paid invoices and get money back, not screening. But if you hear after, required to notify. So it's those folks that are with super bills and or looking to use that. You can check out Reimbursify. Just Google that. I'm assuming. I think it's reimbursify.com or something like that. Yeah, so that's helpful. And then someone had a comment. Was it Mark? I think Mark had a comment about videos and producing video content, that he thought it was kind of the benefit of doing videos, which you just mentioned, Ron, and he said that they can be a pain to film. So obviously, if you can, it's always best, I said, to outsource the editing or any of the video process. And then he might, I don't know, Mark, are you solo or do you have a team? Ron's been making videos for years, and he's got a team now that is recording videos. His other therapists recording videos as part of their Mark said he's solo. So Ron has a team of therapists, and part of their roles and responsibilities is to, produce a certain amount of content and be engaged with that. And they knew that ahead of time before joining his practice. So any thoughts on that, Ron?
I would hire a local student to come in one day. You block out 5 hours and let them video record you so you don't have to edit as much. That's what I would do. Hire a student from a local school or a friend to come in and just shoot video with you over a 5-hour period. Create all of your content for like 2 months and try to get it good and easy to a point where you don't have to spend so much time editing. Like what we're doing now is just taking my cell phone with one of those Digi Osmo things that we just try to keep things short and sweet and record so I don't even have to edit it that much. So we're just trying to keep it short and sweet. It is a problem when you're by yourself. I'd try to get a friend in, someone in, just to shoot it for you, but you block that whole time off and just shoot all the videos at once and be done. And then Eric Broadwood just joined us. The best hair in physical therapy just joined us.
Second best.
Second
Eric
best.
Broadwood, what's going on, Eric Broadwood?
Okay, perfect.
What's up, man?
How's it going? Thanks.
Check.
Can you block us right there and just let us know where that last question was, and I'll get started again.
I think we're good. Any other questions? And we're going to get back to the slides and the presentation, guys, and otherwise we'll finish question Q&A at the end. I think we're good to go, Ron. You can go ahead and proceed.
Okay.
We'll cover the
Okay. So perfect. We're going to go back now. The 4 strategies that what you can do to stay agile through this crisis. Okay. So this is going into the bread and butter here. If you ever get to the point where you're trying to scale your business, a great fundamental scaling business book is by Vern Harnish, Scaling Up. He breaks things down very great. It's an awesome book as you're trying to scale your practice. He breaks things into people, strategy, execution, and cash. So we're going to follow that general 4-step process right there, and we're going to give you some tools and some basis for each of these strategies that you can use. So first off, with people, the number one question that you can ask every day is, do you have the right relationships right now? Okay. There is not a better time right now than to look at your current relationships, look at relationships that you want to get, or look at some past relationships that you want to rekindle, or past relationships that you couldn't get. And now is the time to capitalize on it, because a lot of people have downtime right now. So what type of relationships do you have currently? Look at your current ones, look at establishing new ones, really go after those people that maybe you tried to get in network with or to develop a relationship with, but you couldn't get them in the past. They were too busy. There was too many gatekeepers. Go after them right now. Now is the perfect time to reach out to and establish relationships to your network. Okay. And here's a simple drill for you. You can go out and take a piece of paper right now and write down the key relationships or influencers in your city of who you want to meet. Okay. Don't ask for anything. Don't ask them if they're in pain or if they know anyone. Can they refer you? Don't ask for anything. Focus on what can you help them with? What can you help their business with? What are they struggling with right now? What problems do they have? Okay. You want to give right now. Don't ask them for anything. You're just trying to establish a relationship with these people. Okay. And see if you can help them with anything. Maybe invite them on the podcast to help promote their business. Okay. And if you can't help them, try to introduce them to someone who can. Okay. Just establish that relationship with these people. So make a list. It may be your top 10 list, maybe your top 25 list, maybe a 50 people list. Right now is a great time to rekindle relationships and to network with some of these influencers and people around your area. I've reached out to some past patients that own businesses, and I reach out to them, and it's like I'm going to invite them on the podcast to help promote a part of their business right now. I'm rekindling relationships right now. It's a great time to do this. What's an example that you mentioned earlier, Dave, about rekindling a relationship with someone? I think you mentioned earlier with our meeting. I think it was the gym. You reached out.
Yeah, so really quick, if some of our, like Eric Broadmoor, some of the folks that are in here in our mastermind, I talked about this before. I go to this gym and I get to work out for free just because I have a good relationship with the gym owner. This guy's name's Anthony. He owns a gym called Badass Academy. And recently he had texted me that he was complaining about some issues in his hip and buttock, right? So I told him to try this thing. He felt a little bit better. We jumped on a video call. And within 1 hour, and I did it pro bono, by the way, because he sends me a ton of clients. So I didn't charge him, which usually I'm against, because if you guys know me, I'm always about charging your value and all that. But he sends a lot of clients to me, and I get to work out at his gym for free. So about rekindling relationships, I was able to help him get rid of his pain over a 60-minute video call that we did over FaceTime. So I got rid of his pain. And then he says to me, he goes, before this crazy virus and everything, he was doing these mobility workshops and they were paid. Like he would charge people in a range of like $40 to $60 per person of his clientele at his gym owners, kind of like as another way to have cash flow. So he said, wow, that was great what you did for me over this video call. He said, I would love for you to take the reins at my gym and do these mobility workshops. Basically, he was saying, you can get in front of the hundreds and hundreds of people that are at my gym. And this was before his gym was closed down from the virus. But we've since talked about, hey, maybe could we make this work, whether free or paid? Could we do some of these virtual mobility workshops over Zoom, like just like this, but instead of me talking at my computer desk, it would be like this gym owner and they know his name and his face for recognition. And we're thinking about planning to do these basically workshops and mobility classes that will help funnel prospective patients to me. And that was more so started when he reached out to me. But you guys can do the same exact thing with rekindling relationships. So reaching out to not just your previous patients and clients, like I already mentioned, but reaching out to other business owners that are challenged and in a tight position just like you are. So reaching out to any other local and small business owner, whether it's gym owners, people who own yoga studios, Pilates studios, maybe even some of these restaurant owners that are like really being hit hard because they basically can only have takeout. And maybe you offer to do some free video consults or some significantly reduced video consults for any of the local restaurants for the owner or for their delivery people that are stressed and running around and they're on their feet more than ever because they have to do more deliveries. So it's more just getting creative and thinking about who else can you reach out to help them. That's where you're coming from, a place of help and assistance first, just like tonight's presentation. And then you're planting seeds, and then maybe it'll spur into other ways where you can help patients and clients in your community, charge them a certain amount, whatever that might be, for your services, and take it from there.
Yeah, it's just, helping other people, identifying their problems and see how you can help them and rekindle relationships. You may not get something right now, but as that summation occurs and stuff like that, and after this and after the doors are open again, it may be like a flood of patients if you establish a lot of relationships right now. I know that the guy at my bank, it's a 4-man team. It's a local bank. He's busting his ass right now to make sure that all these small businesses get their PPP loans. So I'm going to reach out and surprise the whole staff with a free hour massage for each of them as a way of saying thanks. My bank and people from my bank have never been a patient of mine, but I'm going to reach out to them because I know he's busting his rear for me and I got approved, and I'm just grateful that I got approved, and hopefully everything works out. But I'm going to give them a little gift just for me saying thanks, because I know he's busting his rear working like on weekends and stuff, staying up late just to make sure that everyone submitting their claims is getting approved and stuff. So
and you have a massage therapist, so it's not like you're even going to have to fulfill that.
Yeah, I'm not doing the massage. Yeah, I have a massage therapist on staff. So yeah, it's do the right people have do you have the right people doing the right things at the right time or doing it right? I'm not doing the massage. Okay. So if you have bad employees right now, Now's the time to lay them off. Now's the time to reorganize the business. I always been thinking about trying to add in some sort of wellness maintenance program to pursuit, but I do not want to do that stuff. I never wanted to do that stuff. So what I did was I created a position in my org chart. I hired a PT for it. Now I hired the right person doing the right things, who's the expert at that, who's going to run the actual wellness programs. Do you have a coach? Still talking about people here. Do you have a coach or a mentor? Everyone needs a coach or a mentor. Even the uber successful people have coaches and mentors. So, do you have a coach to ask questions with? Do you have a mentor to problem solve with? And Dave and I are helping other people out in the mastermind and with some of our coaching programs and stuff like that. But it's not even talking about just us. Do you have a mentor, that's locally that you can help problem solve and, create ideas and think of things to get through this hard time? Okay, so surrounding yourself with good people that can help problem solve for you is like a must. I know that Dave and I have spent a lot of time, doing personal growth classes, taking advanced courses, reading, taking online seminars, so we can improve our processes and our mentality too. It also goes back, do you have the mentality to get through this? Are you thinking positive? Are you playing to win? Okay. Surrounding yourself with nothing but positive people is a huge factor there.
And even just clinically, like I'll reach out to Ron and I'll say, I have this patient, I have their first visit or two, they weren't responding, here's their symptoms, this is what's going on. And then Ron will say, oh, did you check this, that, or the other? And I'm like, no, I need to check one of those or two of those things next visit, and I'll do that. So obviously, I'm sure a lot of you guys have a similar colleague or some mentor clinically. But even locally where you're based, where you guys are located, I mean, what if you reached out to a local business owner or someone that is of influence in your community, whether it's someone in local politics or government or someone that is a well-known name, and reaching out to them, or it's like a gym owner or some other potential referral source in the future, but reaching out to them and basically just checking in with them. How are things going? Like, are you doing anything new or creative that's different in your business model? I'd love to kind of have a virtual cup of coffee, send them a Zoom link or a phone call or something, and just kind of describe to each other, like, what are some, changes that you're having to make in your practices, in your businesses. And just from that, you guys might get clever or creative ideas about what makes the best sense in your zip code, in your community. And then from doing that, you're networking and you're expanding your reach. And then maybe also in the next couple months or a couple weeks, maybe that person, that business owner, wants to send some folks to you because they're like, oh, wow, I just learned, this therapist named Ren or this therapist named Olive, like they're right down the street, or they offer this, service. So it's just another way to get out there, whether you have coach, mentor, colleagues, local business owners, get out there and get a little creative. And a lot of this stuff can still be done virtually. Like, Ron, if you reached out to someone locally and said, hey, I would love to, discuss ways that small business owners such as us are looking for ways to get creative and help our clients and kind of keep the lights on and keep some cash flow coming in while still serving our communities, would you be interested in, I know we haven't ever spoken before, and I'm talking about sometimes cold outreach. LinkedIn's a great place for that, by the way. Cold outreach on LinkedIn, because they can see your biography, your bio, your profile, your face, your resume, basically. And if someone cold reached out to you, Ron, on like LinkedIn or some other, Facebook or Instagram, and they said, would you be interested? I want to schedule a 15-minute phone call or a virtual cup of coffee. I'm sure most business owners would be okay and open with that. Also because they have extra time right now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, even like uber successful people, they were all in a small business at some point doing exactly what we're doing. Right. And just to take 15 minutes out of their day, they're normally more than willing to do it. I mean, I've done that with venture capitalists. I got the idea of the money back guarantee from a coach, past patient, uber successful business person. He's like, hey, why don't you offer a money back guarantee? I was like, well, no one has ever done that in healthcare. He's like, yeah, why not?
And now I offer for the first, I don't know if you guys know, you probably don't if you're new here. A lot of these names that are here live, I don't even know all of you guys. So Henry, welcome in live. Nancy, Claire, welcome in live. Everyone else, Mira, welcome in live. Bob Rogers, welcome in live from Florida. I was going to say the 100% money back guarantee. I've added now for the first 3 visits. If the client doesn't feel better, this is in person and telehealth. If you don't feel better, you don't feel improvement, you're not satisfied for any reason, we'll give you your money back up to the first 3 visits, in person or telehealth. It sounds, if you've never heard a therapist say this, I know it's going to sound crazy. You're going to think we're nuts. You're probably thinking, is that even possible? Like, is that legal? Yes, it's legal. I mean, it's not insurance dollars, so we can give refunds. And oftentimes, because I've been busy, sometimes my billing is a little delayed, right? So let's say if I'm treating Ron Miller as my patient and I see him for a visit or two, and he already knows I send him information over email. He's got in writing my 100% money back guarantee. Oftentimes I will treat Ron, I'll have his credit card on file securely, but I might treat Ron, the patient, 1 or 2 or 3 visits, and I still have not even charged his credit card yet. And then after the 3rd visit, I'm like, hey, Ron, how are you feeling? What do you think of the service? Do you see value? Are you improving? Like, oh yeah, it's great. I love it. It's great. Thank you so much. Let's keep scheduling some visits. And then, then I would charge his card. So oftentimes, just thinking differently, you don't have to charge someone's card as long as you have it on file. And that goes back to Ron Miller as my mentor over the past, I don't know, what's it been, 4 or 5 years or something since we met. And that was one thing that hugely helped my business with conversions, with convincing a skeptical consumer to pay out of pocket for my services when they could use their insurance down the street. Let's see. Karen said that she's done it for the past 5 years. Someone asked for a refund 1 time. So that's awesome. Good for you, Karen. Excellent. Nice. Olive said she was thinking of doing that too. She heard about the 100% money back guarantee is a good way to market, especially if you are starting out. Absolutely, 100%. I mean, everyone here, there's like usual assumptions that we have to make. If you're serious enough that you're here live or watching on the replay, you're engaging, you're writing questions and all that, the assumption is most of the time you have enough clinical chops to help people, to actually make an in-session change. And if you're that good of a therapist, there's I think the cream of the crop of the therapists that are that serious to go out onto their own and have their own business, mobile or brick and mortar. Most of the time, those therapists, if they have the clinical chops, then they would be if they want to go out on their own, they have the clinical chops. And therefore, the 100% money back guarantee would also be something you guys could consider. You see some other folks, Karen and Ron, Ron's been doing it for years. Karen's been doing it for years. I just added it a little over a year ago.
Clinical chops. I never heard of that term. Makes you think of like a steak or pork chops. Yeah, the skill set. It's okay. I just had to bust your. I had to bust your chops.
Exactly. If you didn't know that, clinical chops.
Clinical chops. I'm going to market that. We got the clinical chops.
Clinicalchops.com.
So, okay, next one. Let's talk about strategy. So we just talked about people. Now we're going to talk about strategy. What is your new strategy going to be? Okay, can you simply state your strategy in the next few weeks? Again, we're going to do shorter goals now. Your strategy needs to be clear and simple. What are you going to focus on right now? What are you going to focus on in the next week, in the next 2 weeks? What's your strategy going to be? Are you comfortable with your current competencies and structure that you're going to be able to make it through this? Or do you have to develop a new process or new services and kind of rekindle or go in a different direction? Do you need to pivot and change now? Many of us are not able to see a full caseload right now. So you can't base 100% of revenue on patient care right now. You need to start adjusting. You need to start adapting, adding telehealth in, adding some programs, okay? So here's your new strategy. You're the leader. You're the owner of the business. You have to set a solid foundation with principals, especially if you have employees. Your employees have to be on the same page with you. They need to know they're trusting you and stuff like that. And you need to create that solid foundation with processes and systems set. You need clarity to where the puck is going and understanding new trends. Like, we know an example trend is the next 6 months, all these high risk patients are going to be quarantined still. They're high risk. So can we capitalize on that trend? Can we create a online program for some of these seniors and high risk patients and tap into that market? Okay. So you need to be clear, and you understand what are the new trends going for the next 2 months, next 6 months. What can we adapt and tap into that market? Because someone's gonna get it. It's just whether you're gonna get a piece of that pie or not. Okay. So you need to understand what are some trends going on. Okay. You need to define your strategy, make it clear and simple, and your whole team has to be bought into that strategy. Again, if you're a solo practitioner, this is you just sitting down and brainstorming stuff, and it's already you. But if you have employees or a staff or a team, this is communications essential. Your whole team has to be right on point and understanding what the strategy is and what the short-term goals are. Okay, you have to look at this. What are you good at? Okay, if you're good at certain competencies, you can adapt into a new category. I'm not good at pelvic floor or pelvic health, so I'm not going to create an online public pelvic floor program. Okay, I'm more of a manual-based therapist. Okay, so I had to adapt to and strategize how am I going to organize my telehealth treatments when I'm a manual therapist. What value can I tap into and highlight in my tele stuff, even though I'm a manual therapist stuff, manual therapist, physiotherapist. That's my skill set. So I kind of identified that, and I've adapted a little bit with my tele stuff. And I'm creating a marketing strategy that I know I can funnel people into telehealth, that I know that I can treat with Mackenzie. So I'm marketing a lot of sciatica right now. Okay, you got to be specific and to the point on your strategy. What are you good at? I didn't want to do the wellness or maintenance program, so I hired a new PT to run that program for me. Okay, with your new strategy, you have to manage revenue and expenses. My business dropped 50% top line revenue in March when all this stuff happened, and in April we're probably going to be around 70 to 75% decrease in revenue. Okay, so what are you going to? I'm sure everyone's numbers are down. Okay, what are you going to do to make ends meet? Okay, for example, I dropped my marketing. That was a huge expense. I was paying her $2,500 a month to take over marketing and stuff like that. But right now is not a good time for me to pay someone to manage my marketing. Okay, you have options of furloughing or firing employees. Okay, I'm just blessed I'm in a position where I don't have to fire anyone. I actually hired someone. Okay, if revenue completely stopped and you had to shut down the whole business, how are you going to increase revenue now? We have to think outside the box here with this. Some of these businesses, like again, Tesla, are creating ventilators now. The auto industry is creating ventilators. Some companies, I read a story how a company made household shutters on the side of windows, and their sales dropped to like literally nothing. And they realized trends that, okay, PPE equipment for hospitals and healthcare workers is going to be a huge trend going forward. And they're like, hey, I can buy these materials. So they would adapt. They pivoted, created a whole new structure. They created new temp employees. They added jobs. They created new workstations, new projects. They added a new part to their website page. They're building a capacity of building PPE equipment, and that's their plan to generate some sales because no one's buying household shutters right now. So this is an example of a company that totally flipped. It's like some local restaurants are not closing, where they're only doing takeout now, and they made all of their servers their delivery drivers now. So they're still keeping employees, they're giving them money and just taking takeout orders and adding a delivery service to them. So you have to think outside the box. What's your strategy going to be? Okay. You can also look at other people within your field or that are very similar to your field in your area and interview them. Create a think tank, brainstorm, a mastermind. That's the whole purpose of our mastermind, where we problem solve each other for each other. Whenever anyone has a problem, you can post it in the group and we problem solve together. What are others in our field doing? Everyone's going towards the telehealth. That's a no-brainer. That's the number one trend going forward. But look at what the gyms are doing right now. Look at what physiotherapists are doing. Look and see what chiropractors are doing and stuff like that. What are other people in your field doing that you can interview, you can think tank, you can brainstorm and think of new ways of generating sales? Yes, Steve.
Can you just go back 2 slides real quick? I just wanted to make a point on here, number 4. So with new strategies, really quick. The second bullet, what are you good at? And what are you bad at or subpar at or not great at? So preparing for this, Ron and I specifically, we said out loud, like, what are you good at? Focus and keep doing that. What are you not good at, or it takes up too much time, or it feels like pulling out, you're pulling your hair out, or frustration or headaches or overwhelm? Either outsource it, meaning if it's video editing, then you pay someone to do it. If it's building up your website, you pay someone to do it. If you don't have the money or the budget to do it, then just push it off. Don't do it right now, because it's going to be a subpar job if you try to do it right now when you already don't have either the income or the ability to fully complete that task at a professional level. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to review that real quick. Whatever you're good at, if you're here, you're watching this live or on the replay, you're serious, that means you have the clinical jobs, but you also will be needing to focus on how to get more prospective patients into your funnel, more people into your world where they hear about you. So that's marketing. And then speaking with them over the phone to get them booked and to exchange some dollar amount for whatever the value of your service is going to be, right? So that's like the biggest focus for Ron and I always. It's like marketing, so it's like more new patients in the top of our funnel, and then we convert and book a certain percentage of those folks to our calendars or to our therapist calendars, and that's our business, like basically, like in a nutshell right there. So the things that are I'm bad at or that I don't want to do is I didn't want to set up Google ads. I knew there's a tracking number that tracks phone calls. I don't even want to research that. I'm very technical, tech savvy, whatever, but I don't want to do that. So I had the money, so I outsourced it. If you don't have the money, then you should push it off and focus on the things that are going to move the needle, which would be the free things, like trying to go back to your previous patients, your current patients, or local business owners, local influencers, letting them know about what you're doing right now and trying to get virtual visits or sessions to get some cash flow coming in. That's the biggest thing you need to focus on. And whatever you're not great at, if it's building out your Instagram or your Facebook or doing something digitally or creating ebooks, but you don't know how and you don't have time and you don't have the budget, then push it off. This is like Ron said at the beginning of the presentation, it's a totally different year right now. 2020 is a complete curveball. So we have to adapt. And I just wanted to focus on that. Whatever you're good at, focus on. Yeah. Wherever you're not, outsource it or push it off.
I was just checking the Facebook page to make sure the live stream is still going. And I saw something popped up in another group. I'm not going to say the person's name. Another PT posted this, who's an insurance-based PT, saying, we're at 20% capacity doing telehealth, 15% in person. It's leaving 65% of our capacity empty. What are other people experiencing? This is exactly what we're talking about. This is insurance, by the way. Who knows? They're probably only getting paid less than $70 a visit. Okay. What's your new strategy to overcome that capacity problem? No lie. I would show you the thing, but this was a real post that insurance-based clinic's having. What are you going to do as that insurance-based clinic to increase sales, cash flow, create new programs, new strategies? You got to think outside the box with this. No lie, that was kind of crazy little timing on that one. So, okay, so you may have to create a whole new category. Okay. You may have to, create a whole new field. We know telehealth is going to be huge going forward. We know food delivery services is going to be huge. We know distance and virtual learning and online learning programs is going to be huge. So you guys better be tapping into some of that field with online programs, virtual learning. You don't have to start delivering food necessarily, but we have to think outside the box though. How are you going to increase sales and revenue to help your top line still? Again, we need to take this day by day, week by week, short goals, understanding what the coronavirus is doing and the projections of what's going forward. We need to set simple and short goals day by day, week to week. Don't even worry about your quarterly, your yearly, or your big, hairy, audacious goal. Okay, let's move on to execution. How do you decide what to focus on most? Okay, it goes back to that one thing in that book. In the next week or the next month, what is the one thing that's most important for you? Okay, this is a quote from Stephen Covey from the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Keep the main thing, the main thing, the main thing. Okay, what is the one thing? If sales and top line revenue is your biggest problem, what is the most important thing right now for that? Stop posting on Instagram, stop checking Facebook. You need to be focused on that one thing. Design that new program, focus on getting that done, and then implementing it so you can keep some sales going right now. Okay, do you have relentless repeatability? I don't even know where I got this from. I just love this word. Do you have relentless repeatability? And I keep on going back to when Tim Tebow played football at UF and they lost to Mississippi State. And he came out afterwards and said that quote, and I'm not even a UF fan. And he said that whole thing, no one in this world is going to work harder than me right now and work harder and put the time in and do that stuff. I don't even know why I even think of that. But for some reason, I just had that picture of him saying that quote there. Do you have relentless repeatability? Can you hustle harder? Keep doing it, adjusting it until it works. That's what you need right now. Okay, so what do you have to focus on? You have to focus on that most important thing for you and your practice right now. Right now, the most important thing for me is increasing top line revenue and getting cash flow. So we're implementing some of these. We're implementing telehealth. We're implementing launching the new programs right now. We got the wellness program coming out in 1 week. We're designing a marketing strategy for that. We're going to have the new throwing program starting out in May. Okay. I'm not going to pivot too far off of my business model because we're technically still allowed to see some patients. But some of you who are based in a gym who are completely closed now, you have to adapt and you have to kind of pivot and move into some other topic or service that you can generate some sales with. Okay. So you have to identify what is your one thing? What is your most important thing right now for you and your business? And you need to focus on that. Okay. You have your very specific and fast goals. Remember, day by day, week to week. Okay. And then you got to celebrate every little win with the team. I mean, I have a group text. I think I told you guys, we just got approved for the PPP loan. I sent a text to everyone that gives my employees assurance now that they're going to get some bigger paychecks this month and next month. Okay. We celebrate every win. So let's talk about cash. This is the big problem. How can you increase cash flow? Okay. See, these are some principles that you guys can start doing. Okay. So if you follow Dave's and I training or seen some of our YouTube videos, I have a video on YouTube that goes over the 5 or 6 different bank accounts that you got to open up. You have to have a emergency fund set up for the business. Us as individuals, you're supposed to have like 3 to 6 months of funds for personal living and stuff like that. But even for a business, you should have a emergency fund set up. That is 2 to 3 months of operating capital. Now, this strategy is really used to self-fund growth, but your emergency fund, this is what I was saving up money for. So I could run Pursuit fully operational and not see a single patient for 2 months. I wasn't at 3 months of saving yet. So if this coronavirus lasted beyond 2 months and I happened to not get any government funding or assistance, I could last for 2 months and still pay people. But if it went beyond 2 months, I'd be screwed. I'd be, and again, we don't know what's going to happen in June. We don't know what's going to happen. So I'm preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. So even though I got approved for the PPP fund, rule number 40 in cash basis, never count the funds until the funds are in the bank. So even though I got approved, I'm still not banking on that money until I see it. Okay. Like that $10,000 free money for the EIDL stuff. I'm not even counting on that until I actually see it. But now's the time to rely on those emergency funds. It's okay to take money out of those emergency funds. I happen to be in a state in Florida where every September I normally run into a hurricane where I have to dip into some emergency funds to make sure the clinic survives for 1 to 2 weeks while it gets closed down. So now's the time to tap into your emergency fund to run some cash back into your business. The stimulus packages. Okay, this is a no-brainer. These programs are designed to allow us to survive this crisis and to still keep employees employed and to still be able to pay them. Okay, so it's a no-brainer. You should be applying for these stimulus packages. To briefly go over this, okay, so there's two main packages right now. There's the economic injury disaster loan, which is the EIDL, and the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. The economic injury disaster loan is really a loan. Okay, this means that whenever you apply for this, you are going to have to pay it back. It's used for payroll, accounts payable, fixed debts, and other expenses that can't be paid, like rent, utilities, and stuff like that. It's up to $2 million. There's, for us, a small business, it's a 3.75% interest rate, and it's up for 30 years. Some of these bigger businesses are going to be able to do that and apply for that to be able to get that. Now, supposedly if you apply for it and get approved or even denied, supposedly they're giving you a forgivable $10,000. I haven't seen that yet. I'll believe it whenever I see it. I did apply for this, in hopes of getting it, but we'll see what happens. That application was applied through the Small Business Association website. If you guys need help with that still, we posted videos in the business group. We can repost the link to that if you guys are interested in that. And again, taking a loan out at 3.75% interest is really good if you needed it right now. Instead of closing shop, if you had revenue already built in and you know that you can get 20 to 30 grand a month in sales and you're forced to close, but you that eventually in the fall that you'll be able to pick it up, maybe that's a good option if you don't have an emergency fund. Okay, that's a pretty low interest rate, and it's built so you don't have to close your business, so you can still succeed.
It's a very, very low interest rate. I mean, standard small business loans before all this were they would have been 7 to 8%. So that it's a very low, generous interest rate.
Yeah, I think my bank credit percentage, I have a line of credit with my bank. I think that interest rate is like 6.9 or 7.9 or something like that anyway. So that's a great loan, but it's something, instead of closing a shop, it's an option for you. The Paycheck Protection Program, okay, this is mainly built so you don't fire employees and that you can still do payroll to keep employees going, because they want you to be able to still keep jobs and keep employees. So when this stuff passes, people still have jobs. Okay, so this is built just to be able to keep payroll going. Now, some of the stipends and the stipulations with this, 75% of this program, this is initially a loan. Okay, this is a loan at first. Okay, normally you'll get 2.5%, 2.5 times the amount of your last year's monthly payroll. So if your payroll is $10,000 a month, 2.5, you'll get 25 grand. So that's how that works. The loan is forgivable if you use 75% or more of it on payroll. That means paying employees and payroll taxes. Okay, that's one of the things that you have to do. The rest of it can be used for rent, mortgage, and other things like utilities. But you're going to have to track your expense line and reports with this, because at 2 months, they're going to ask you for what did you spend this money on. And if you can do that and show them that you spend it on 80% payroll, then you use the rest for a mortgage and rent, then they will forgive it. That's the plan now. And your bank, you have to apply through a approved bank. It's not done online. Everyone has different things going right now. I had a huge stack of papers like this. It was huge, but I submitted everything last week, and I got approved currently for this. But we'll see when the funds come in. So again, I'm not strapped for cash with this. I have my emergency fund right now, but again, it's free money. And if it's something that I can pay my employees more and keep them employed and still give them some money to live off of, I have to capitalize on this. It's a no-brainer. You have to apply for this.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. You would just want to have with doing these applications, you obviously would want to submit your the one I did was the EIDL that I applied a couple weeks ago, and that it asked for your account number and your routing number for potentially like a direct deposit of that amount if you are approved. You can like Ron said, you want to track specifically if that money comes into your bank account, the receipts or proof of payments or whatever for those specific things like payroll or whatever. And this includes, by the way, employees or 1099 independent contractors, which is who I have. So it could be used for that. And if you wanted to do another step to make it even easier to delineate where this money is being allocated, would be you could oftentimes for free online open up a new bank account, either with your existing bank, like a new checking account. And if you have a certain amount of money, it might even be free, but you could open up a separate bank account just for this. I heard that. I don't know if that's another hurdle, but it would be easier to show, like if X amount of dollars went into this bank account and then it went out and it went to X, Y, and Z. It's very, very straightforward in terms of the paper trail of the use of the funds. So just another thing to consider.
Yeah, I would strictly ask your bank, what do you want? Do you have a form that you want me to fill out to track this or not? Just ask your bank with that, whoever you're applying that for. So I also sat in on a UBS phone call, and they were breaking down all of this stuff too. So I wanted to add in this stuff too. This goes into a little more in depth about this stuff. I can print this out or even post this for you guys if you have any more questions about that. It goes a little more in depth and stuff like that. So I did sit in. I'm not just making this stuff up off of what I read, but I've actually took some classes with this. I sat in on this phone call conference, plus I've actually applied for both of them. So I got a little bit of experience to kind of go over that stuff. So step 3, again, we've talked about this. You need to create new avenues of revenue, okay? We started adding telehealth now. So this is a picture from my telehealth landing page, okay? You need to create new revenue streams of cash flow to get some cash coming in, okay? And think about it. What problems can you help solve and monetize a way of doing that, okay? So I created some telehealth options. Again, we're creating new online programs right now. I use that elderly example. You can target a niche market. A lot of CrossFitters aren't able to work out right now. Can you tap into that market and monetize it at all? Okay, we're creating wellness programs right now. Many of you have seen this post already. We're creating a monthly wellness program at $150 a month, $37 a week, and we're creating specialty programs at $500 a month. They're getting launched out. The wellness one will be ready by next week, and the specialty one's going to be ready by May. Okay, so we're creating new online programs to increase cash flow. Again, what problem are you helping to solve? Okay, you can create other revenue streams. We have a Mastermind member that created an awesome ebook with postpartum, prepartum exercises. Great idea. I hope she kills it and starts selling it. It's a great problem she's solving. Great. It was genius. Sigrid and Adrian
And it was like a full on week by week exercise progression. So for a woman who's going through pregnancy or is recently postpartum, it's like week 1, do this. And it's like great images, great simple descriptions of what to do. So images of the exercises, and it's like, do this, do this, do this. Week 2, do these things. And it's like a week by week plan. And that makes it so simple for the consumer, the prospective patient or client who were to buy that. Now, if they buy that, of course, they're going to love it because they posted the PDF in our Mastermind group, and it was great. And they were going through some design iterations. And then if that person happens to live nearby, it's going to be so easy for that, for Sigrid and Adrian to book them as a paid patient once this blows over, like as a new in-person eval, or maybe even in between doing some video consultation with that person using this ebook as a paid way to, it's like a marketing term, like a tripwire. So it's like a way to find consumers that are interested in buying, finding consumers that are interested in opening up their wallet and investing in something that you have to offer. It's not the full-on thing that you have to offer, which would be the paid telehealth or whatever, or a full-on program, but it's an initial opening offer, and I think they're going to do really well with it. We'll have to keep you guys updated on how it goes for them.
And shout out to Sigrid and Adrian. Whatever you guys are charging for it, Dave and I are going to make you go higher than that. So you can look at what you're going to do and just like, they're going to make us charge higher for that. So don't be making the price low.
Sigrid just posted in the chat. She's chatting with yoga and fitness instructors and workshop business to push our ebook. So there's another way in terms of distribution. So that's super smart, right? Get partners and people that can potentially collaborate and help you, and you leverage others for distribution of something like this as the ebook. So
and again,
hey Ron and Dave, I'm on. Sigrid's on too. I'm speaking. She's a little shy.
It's all good.
But she's
what do you got?
So far, like I said, she's chatting with some of the previous workshops that we had, and trying to pitch it to them. And so they are going to be using their Instagram, Facebook, and their own clients' email, and kind of promoting it for us as well. So
excellent, love it.
Yeah, like you said, just trying to find ways to be creative.
I would even think big. Test a Google ad, and not just in your local area, in the whole U.S. See if people can do that. I know that's a problem that a lot of women have pre and postpartum, and they'll pay $97, $140, $147, depending on how you sell it and what you package. Remember price stacking it. But you could think even nationwide with that through a Google ad. So, or even Facebook ads. So there's a lot of potential there where you can get not just local cash flow, but online cash flow throughout the whole nation. So great job there with that.
Definitely. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Paid webinars. Someone can opt in. If you're solving a problem that people have, people are willing to pay for that. A free online webinar to a niche market. This is an example of my kind of sign up opt-in form that's on my website for my webinar. This is an example of a free webinar, but you can create a good landing page, get a paid webinar going that way. You could do stuff like that also.
Really quick with that, Ron. Obviously, guys, like if paid versus free webinars, if we made this webinar free, or I'm sorry, it is free. If we charge for this webinar right now, you're most likely, if you're still here, there's like still 20 people live here, and in the Facebook group, I think there's 10 or 20 people live. So you're getting it, like at least it's interesting or intriguing. Hopefully it's of value to you. But if we charge for this, then there would be less amount of people. So just keep that in mind if you're going to do something like an ebook, you can make it free or paid. If you make it free, it's going to reach more people. It's going to get in front of more consumers, but you're not going to recoup any income immediately unless you convert them to like a telehealth visit or an in-person visit. And same thing with a webinar, right? So you can have them paid or free. I don't think it makes sense to have paid webinars. Like if we made this webinar paid and it was like $20 or $30 or $40 or $50 or whatever, like that's not going to like make or break us. Like what would be the point of charging, right? So it's better to cast a bigger net, get a bunch more of you that we've never even seen or spoke with before, and now we're collaborating, we're helping each other, and we'll make it back later in other ways. And that's the same way that you could possibly think as well. So just wanted to touch on that.
Dave just shot down my idea of paid webinars, so now I have to go do one to prove that I can do it.
Yes.
And he's wrong. So step 4, reach out to your past patients who have the cash. Okay, I'm not saying just target rich people, but reach out. If you follow our training, there's 5 classifications of patients. Reach out to your VIPs and ambassador patients. Call them, video chat them. They love your business. They wanna support you. You may be able to re-up some people for treatment packages. Again, we do treatment packages here, and we also do individual sessions. But a treatment package is a great way to get some cash flow going on. I just sold 2 treatment packages this week. That's $3,600 in cash. That's going to last me. That's great cash flow right there. You maybe even give them a discount if they're willing to prepay everything up front. Or, my plan is for my wellness program is to give my past patients a free 2 weeks to get into the wellness program. After the 2 weeks, then they're going to have to pay the $150 a month to do that. But they'll experience it. They'll get to know Trey a little more. They'll get to see what it's like, and then they're going to end up having to pay for it. So, reach out to your past patients. They want to support your business. Whether it's calling them, a video chat, do whatever. Especially your important patients. Maybe you'll get some more re-ups for treatment. I got a couple packages this week. It's great for cash flow because the people that paid for treatment packages in March who are stopped coming right now because of this, the cash flow was still in the business. So I'm able to run off of that right now. Now, eventually in June or July, whenever they start back up, yes, there will be a deficit there, but I'll have other streams of revenue going also. Plus I'll get new patients. But at least using the treatment package and getting people paying that, you get your cash up front. That will help solve that cash flow problem. And again, as a last line, as a emergency, you can still do a bank line of credit. If you are going to go that route, I know a lot of bigger businesses are draining their whole bank line of credit out as an emergency fund. If you run your business properly, you don't need to actually do that. But if you needed 6 or 10 grand to get by for 2 months, it's still an option to do. It's not the end all be all. It's not like you have a 26% interest rate or anything on it. Your probably interest rate is probably around 6 to 10, stuff like that. But what I would recommend is you reverse engineer over a year to make sure that you pay it all off within a year and stuff like that. So you reverse engineer, you make sure that you know the numbers and you can make the numbers work, and you make sure that you pay it off in 6 months or maybe even a year. So at a worst case scenario, you can still use the bank line of credit.
And banks will usually max out at 10% of your previous 12 months of top line revenue. So top line revenue, if you did 100,000 the previous 12 months, then you're not going to get a line of credit more than 10 grand. And if it's your first time dealing with a bank, like Ron and I have had several meetings and we have a lot of track record with our particular banks. I don't know how it is with you guys specifically, but most likely if it's your first encounter doing such a thing or with business meetings and all that with your bank, you may not even get that 10%. So it might be just 5% as a line of credit, 5% of your previous 12 months of income of your business's revenue. So just keep that in mind.
So I'm kind of going over some stuff. Yes, everyone's going through a hard time right now. Everyone's scorecards are going to look like crap. Everyone's revenue is going down right now. This is an example of a scorecard from our training. Everyone's numbers are going to look bad. Okay, so everyone's going through the same thing right now. Their numbers over quarter 2 and quarter 3 are going to go straight down. It's what are you going to do with this far end segment here? What strategies are you going to implement? How are you going to pivot to get your revenue back up a little bit so it doesn't take that steep dip, or it goes down and then comes back up? We really need to think outside the box here and take some of these principles of what we went over to help increase that, because everyone's going down this crazy roller coaster right now. And we have to really kind of focus on what can we do to increase revenue, or what is that one important thing for you and your business right now? So my question for you guys is, what is your next step? What is the next step? Are you going to take a step up? Are you going to take a step down, downsize, fire some people, lay off some people, grow the business? What's your mindset like? Are you going to take action? Are you learning fast, taking fast action? What's your week goal? What's your month goal? What's your 6-month goal? Okay. That's how you have to think right now. Everyone's going through a hard time, but we're all here to help out. And this is the action plan. This is kind of the final step, kind of a step-by-step. We listed 10 things here that you guys can do after you go in this program, or after you listen to the webinar. You can implement these tomorrow and start executing. So first one is set new goals. Remember, don't worry about the year goals. Don't worry about the big ones. You're going to set short, fast, specific goals, week to week, month to month right now. Okay. You got to get in the right mindset. You got to start doing the morning routine thing. Stop listening to the news so much. Start reading productivity, personal growth books. Surround yourself with positive mindset people. This is going to be a hard time for a lot of people. So everyone's going through it. So you got to surround yourself with good people and make sure you're in that right mindset. Number 3 is focus on that one thing. Don't worry about the 5 or 6 things that you were planning on doing in quarter 2. Focus on the one thing that's most important right now to drive sales, to get some revenue coming in, anything. Just pick one thing and focus on it and kind of execute. Adjust your business model. You got to decide whether you're going to build or rebuild. Are you okay with your current business structure, that you're going to be able to generate some revenue still to get by? Or do you have to adapt and pivot and open up new avenues? I was 100% manual based in-person clinic for a while. I had to add in telehealth over the past couple of months. I had to add in online programs. We had to add in and adapt to this to make sure that we still got revenue coming in. So maybe by the end of April, we'll have maybe a 50% decrease, and we can increase sales to get above 12,000 a month, so we don't have such a dip going forward. So establish new relationships. Now is the best time to establish relationships right now. Do that drill, make a list of 10, 20, 25, even 50, start rekindling relationships, getting new relationships. It's a must right now. It's a no-brainer, and it's really going to really help out. Design a new strategy to adapt, cut waste and decrease expenses. Okay. Even myself, I was running Pursuit at like roughly 9,000 a month. I cut my expenses. I cut the waste right now. And now I'm running Pursuit at $5,000 a month. Okay. It's a no-brainer. Apply for the stimulus loan programs. Even if they run out of money on this first round of it, they're going to apply for more. They're going to promote it again. I don't even know where the money's coming from. It's probably coming from China. Jeez. But they're going to, even if the current programs run out, they're going to end up funding it more because they have to keep people employed. They have to keep the small businesses going as a worst case scenario. So even if you see stuff online that they're running out of money, don't worry about it. They're going to have another stimulus package added onto it. And again, you got to create new ways of increasing cash flow. You got to get creative here. Okay. And the last step is take action and execute. Okay. Take action and execute. The number one problem that we see is execution. You got to execute. Everyone has ideas of doing things, but the people who really, really succeed, the people who are attending this webinar, are action takers and execute well. Okay. So you got to execute and take action. So Dave and I really just want to thank you for joining in. And now we're going to probably finish up with some Q&A. My family is at the beach, so I can even stay a little bit longer if you guys have questions right now. But we can open up that and answer some of these questions, Dave, and see if anyone has any live stuff.
Yeah, you got it. So let's go right into the Zoom chat here. So from Bob Rogers, Bob, what's going on down in Florida, sunny Florida? So he asked you, Ron, how do you pay your PT? I think it was Trey. So how do you pay your PT that develops the wellness related content? By the hour or by the piece of content? Or also what or does he do sessions as well? So is he treating as well, or is he just a therapist doing the content pieces?
Trey is treating patients, and he is he's not getting paid for content marketing. I'm not paying him to actually do that. He wants to do it because he understands he doesn't have a name, doesn't have a brand, he's not known. So he's doing the little marketing video stuff for free. He also has a little own brand that he started within school, but with the wellness programs, he gets paid on memberships. So it's very similar to like a trainer. If he has X number of members, he gets X number of dollars for that. And again, as a general rule, you don't want your labor efficiency ratios going to be above too high. So if you make 100, if we charge 150 a month, he's getting probably 75 to 80 bucks for a monthly membership that way. And like I said, for the specialty program, I think we designed, it's probably around 250. It's around that 50% range, stuff like that. So he has a more complex tiered salary, but he is seeing patients with a certain fee schedule, and then he also gets additional money for the wellness programs and the specialty ones.
Awesome. We got another question from Karen Lieberman. She said, about 50% of my clients are furloughed or lost jobs. Some are continuing online or limited visits. Many of her clients are on hold now. Any advice? I mean, right off the bat is you're kind of doing, it sounds like you're already being proactive and doing everything you're able to do in terms of doing online consultations, but anything off the bat for you, Ron?
So and the same thing, I have a lot of people, like 50% of my caseload is just holding off just because either they're high risk or they don't want to be out right now and stuff like that. So you have to tap into a new market. Those people are going to sit there and just wait until then. So you're not going to get revenue from them because they're just going to hold out. So you have to tap into a new source with that. Those people are just going to wait, period, whether they're high risk or not. I had that same problem in a cash-based clinic, whether they were furloughed or they're just waiting, or whether they already paid for the package. Some of them are just waiting. I had a lot of individual visits, just say that they're going to do things at home. I converted a few people to telehealth. But you have to, I think your answer to increase cash flow is not to rely on those 50% people that dropped off, to gather some new people to get into that somehow, creating some sort of program or converting them into some sort of telehealth stuff.
Yeah. I had mentioned with either paid or free webinars, right? You showed a slide about that. And then I said, there's pros and cons about it. If we charged any dollar amount, if we charge $1 or 50 or whatever for this webinar, there would not be the same amount of people that are on this webinar right now. It's just the fact of charging, and it's a hurdle for people. And if you don't know us, like us, trust us already, then you probably wouldn't have paid any dollar to be here. And that's why typically webinars are free, because they're helping the top of the funnel. So just like you therapists, business owners can do webinars and do them for free to have a bigger top of your funnel. Then Patricia said, she asked us, Ron, where is it? Sorry. What would you have charged for this webinar? And I said that I wasn't sure, because most webinars are free. I know like Nancy Beckley and Rick Owenda, I think or other people, I think they sometimes charge for webinars. I'm not really sure. I know it limits the reach though. So it limits the reach on like the amount of people that could hear what they have to say, and then maybe you make another component of it as the paid part. And I asked Patricia what she would have paid. I said, would you have paid $50 for this? And she said, during this time, I would have paid no more than 25 to 30. So, all right, I'm going to drop a link. Everyone that's watching right now, we're going to charge you 25 bucks.
That's funny.
No, I'm kidding. Any thoughts on that, Ron, with paid or free webinars?
It all depends on the actual pain point. Like, I know that some lawyers, Gwen Simmons and like Rick Gwenda and Nancy Beckley, can pay can charge for a webinar about Medicare stuff because it's such a problem that people don't know what to do with that. So people are willing to pay like $100 or even $400 probably. I know Gwen Simmons charges $400 for her services and stuff like that. So it all depends on the pain point. Now the way this was set up was to be a free webinar to help people, to help other PTs go through what we're going through. So it wasn't designed to be a cash one. We didn't market it to be a paid service. So if it was, we would have designed it totally different and charge whatever the value was of it. This was designed really for just educational purposes to help other people, other PTs who are going through the same stuff as us. So, you know, it was designed totally different. So how much, yeah, it's a hard question to ask.
All right, question from Mira in the Zoom chat, and then I want to bounce over. We have a question from Stephen Dunn in the live Facebook group where we're streaming it over there. So question from Mira, who is up in Canada right outside of Toronto. Mira said, can you share a contract you have with them in the Mastermind group, especially regarding you teaching them a lot on the marketing end and running your clinic, and then the therapist possibly walking away with it? So what do you think, Ron? Do you have them sign some type of something other than a standard employee agreement, or?
Who, my new employees?
Yes.
Yeah, they have a whole contract, and I don't have a non-compete set up for them and stuff like that. I designed a specific program that if they want to go leave, that they have to pay money for patient charts and stuff like that they kind of agree to. But technically, if I run my business well enough, I shouldn't have a problem with PTs leaving. Sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, who my past employee is probably noticing right now, probably.
Oh,
so
man. Yes.
Like some people left, which is perfectly fine. I wish everyone the best, but sometimes people who are opening a cash-based clinic right now are going to run into a hard time.
Very tough.
So, but if I do my job as an owner, and create real value in a great place to work in a great environment, you shouldn't have to deal with people leaving and stuff like that. So, that would be my answer to that.
And Mira had a follow-up. She said, but you spend a lot in teaching them, like teaching them about marketing or sales and how to sell packages and present your cash rates and whole marketing and Instagram and Facebook strategy and content and all that, what to talk about, not to talk about, what to say.
They aren't in a charge of marketing. They do some marketing, but they're not in charge of lead generation. Yes, they need to learn my sales process. They need to learn that, but they don't learn the phone call process. They're not answering the phone. So they need to learn the fundamentals of the business and how to do the eval process and how to treat patients, but they don't learn the marketing strategies. They don't learn the phone call process. I do have an open book strategy, so I show them the numbers, but again, running a business is a lot harder than you think. And if someone thinks it's easy just to go out and open up a business, they got probably another surprise coming.
Yeah. So there was another question or comment from Patricia. She was asking about, and then then we'll get to Stephen Dunn's comment here in the Facebook group. Patricia here was asking about, the reason why she was asking about pricing for this potential webinar or any webinar or presentation, because she's doing online education webinars and courses, and she just was getting some feedback on pricing for that, like potential pricing for her online workshops or webinars and courses. So, I mean, it really depends on, like, what are you delivering? Like, what's the actual value? What's the value proposition? Who's the ideal client, the ideal target patient or customer for these online workshops and webinars and courses? Like Ron said, like it could be anything from 10 to 25 to $30, or it could be hundreds, if it's a course, and it depends how structured it is and comprehensive, and how well you are with teaching it, and what, technical platforms do you use to convey, and deliver, like deliver it is it like this? Is it just like a live Zoom call? Is it like course modules where I can get an email login and I can log in anytime and I have lifetime access to it? I don't know. So all those things, Patricia, it really depends on the ideal client, the customer, your value proposition, all that. Any thoughts, Ron?
I really like using webinars to engage and do the sell for a product or service. So I use a free webinar to engage and get them to complete the sell. So that's my strategy towards it. But again, I think Elon Musk said you get paid directly in proportion to the difficulty of the problem that you're solving. So if you're solving a really big problem on a webinar, people will pay lots of money for that. If you're solving small problems, they'll pay small money. So if this webinar is solving a small problem for someone, people are only going to be willing to pay $25 for it, $50 for it. If you're solving a huge problem, people are willing to pay huge bucks for that. So that's kind of the principle of what I go by on that.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Stephen Dunn's question here inside the Facebook group, Ron. How are we presenting, or no, with you specifically with the wellness program, how are you, Ron, presenting your new wellness program to your existing clients? How are you presenting it to your current or previous clients versus new leads or new prospective leads?
My strategy for the wellness program is going to be reaching out to past patients and giving them a free 2-week trial in it. And again, you got to focus on the lifetime value of that program. And that's what I'm going for with this, not short-term, fast money on this program. So all past patients will have a 2-week trial to go in, and beyond the 2-week trial, then they can go into, then they have to pay for money, pay $150 a month for stuff like that. So I want them to experience it a little bit, get to know Trey, kind of see what it's like, and then they can funnel into the full paying one.
Awesome. Ron Muir asked, how do you teach your therapist, one-on-one or group setting? I guess when she was asking about the whole dynamic of teaching your therapist, so whether it's the content marketing, the sales process, whatever, what is your mechanisms for teaching? How do you do that?
Everything's trained online, and then we practice it in person, and then they shadow me also until they're comfortable enough where they can execute and they can sell the eval process. Then they start getting evals, but they have to demonstrate that they know what to do. So it's a combination of online training with the fundamentals and learning the business stuff with online training, and then we go over it, and we practice it, and then they see me do it.
And this is paid time. Like you're paying them for their time doing this, or what?
This is not paid time.
Not paid. Got it. Because they're not producing. They're really the owner. Some places, if you're a salaried therapist, the training is sometimes paid. It really depends on the structure of the owner.
We are a performance-based business, so they don't get paid unless they're seeing patients or creating revenue somehow.
Yeah. All right. Mancy asked you, Ron, what kind of wellness program are you doing, if you don't mind sharing? So how about this? Give us like a brief overview or a pitch. Like if I called in, or if I'm your previous patient and you're reaching out to me as a previous patient of Pursuit Physical Therapy, I'm a previous client, and you're telling me over an email or a phone call or whatever, or a text message, like what is your wellness program? What's your description of it, or your brief elevator pitch?
Yeah, so they actually get a free evaluation, what we call it, and that's when Trey meets with the treating therapist. It could be Monica, it could be Carrie, it could be me. So there's no disruption or care. So they'll know the past medical history and what to be aware of and any kind of restrictions that they may have. And then they get to come in for a free evaluation and a movement assessment with Trey after that meeting. And then from there, he'll be able to kind of address, okay, what things do I have to pay attention to? What are the weaknesses? What's the patient's goals? And then he can customize a treatment program that way. And then from there, everything's video based. So they'll be able to go home and be able to do it at home or do it at the gym. And then the updated programs will be every 2 weeks. And there'll be like a strength training component to it. There'll be a running component to it and cardio. It all depends on what the patient's goals are. So it's kind of customized for the goals, but the programming is done online, and then it's updated every 2 weeks.
Got it. Well, this is incredible, guys. Thank you all so much for your time. Let us know if you have any final comments, questions, or concerns. I'm about to jump off. I'm so pumped. I'm glad that you guys got enough value to still be on live here in the Zoom call or Facebook. Let us know if you have any final comments or questions or concerns. Otherwise, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go grab something to eat. And it is now 9:03 Eastern, 9:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast of New York City. Bob Rogers, thank you, sir. Patricia, thank you. Mira, thank you. Let's see, who else is here? Henry, thank you for joining in live. Justin, Christian, Heather, Seagree, Olive, Jen, Mancy, Choose PT, whoever signed in as Choose PT. Everyone else that I didn't cover, mention, and live in the Facebook group, thank you all for your time. I don't see any other final comments, questions, or concerns, but any final thoughts, Ron?
No, that's it. If anyone does have any questions, comments, you can put it in the comment in the Facebook group or message us at all.
Yeah.
We really just wanted to help out everyone. So if there's no more questions, I'll end the meeting also. But please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're all going through this, so we can brainstorm and work together to overcome this stuff. But thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys felt it valuable and you learned some stuff and got some strategies from it. And Dave and I are here to help. Perfect.
Thank you.
We'll see you, Dave. Yep. We'll see you guys.